97 wins for Sir Lewis Hamilton as he takes the Portuguese Grand Prix. Max Verstappen finishing in second place, keeping the title race open, and Valtteri Bottas sums up the podium at the Portuguese Grand Prix. Welcome to my F1 channel. Welcome to Peter on Pole. My name is Peter in pole position. Let's talk about the top 3 drivers of the Portuguese Grand Prix. In third place, Danny Ricciardo. Welcome to the podium this season. It's finally time that you've made yourself known here. He had a fantastic race. He didn't have a great weekend. He started off in P16. He was out in Q1. He had a terrible qualifying, but my goodness, we saw some vintage Danny Ricciardo overtaking during the race, and he wormed his way into the points and got himself into P9. Hats off to Danny Ricciardo. In second place, it's double for McLaren because Lando Norris, ladies and gentlemen, he makes it second on this podium. Why? His consistency is unmatched. Started in P7, finished in P5 behind the 2 Red Bulls and the 2 Mercedes. Lando Norris is at the forefront of the midfield and he doesn't look out of place at all. He was even giving Perez a bit of a hard time overtaking him. They had a good battle going on between those two, but it wasn't enough in the McLaren. But Lando Norris, I tell you what, hats off to you, mate. You have absolutely done tremendously well so far this season. I'm loving the growth. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Lando Norris. If they can tune that car just a little bit more, guess what, man? That McLaren is threatening. My number 1 driver this weekend has got to be Sir Lewis Hamilton. Why? Because of course he started second on the grid and he finished in first place. He even went down a peg. He even lost positions to Max Verstappen, who also had a good race, by the way. But Lewis Hamilton, you know what? Just when you think it was all over for him, he came back and he went back into his shell a little bit and almost remembered who he was. Because after the safety car came out in lap 1, Lewis Hamilton made a move on Valtteri Bottas that were both vintage and worthy of Lewis Hamilton stuff. 97 wins that now takes him to, which is unbelievable. He's 3 wins away rather, from getting 100th win in Formula 1. I mean, he's already the all-time winner, but my goodness, this is a phenomenal thing we are seeing right before us. We are seeing greatness at its peak. And in a season where he's got a very good challenger in Max Verstappen. It's not all Lewis Hamilton, but I tell you what, he is absolutely leading the mark. When he did overtake Valtteri Bottas in the end, I did feel a bit like the air went out of the balloon a little bit. I thought the race wasn't necessarily going to live up to what it did last year, because it was phenomenal last year. And the circuit is beautiful. It looks amazing. I love it. But as soon as Hamilton went into first place, you knew it was game over. Nobody was catching him whatsoever. Big shout out to Charles Leclerc, obviously finishing in P6 as he started the race in P8. The Ferrari it was kind of a bit of a mixed match. Carlos Sainz looked really good in the weekend, but then it was Leclerc who looked like he seemed to be struggling, but the roles reversed and Charles Leclerc finished quite ahead of Carlos Sainz, who I'll get into in the other video. But Charles Leclerc keeping that car steady, keeping it tidy, keeping it all compact together. It's not quite fixed yet, that Ferrari, but it's heading in the right direction, and it's only progression over time is when we'll see what will happen to them in Barcelona. And of course, I want to shout out Alpine, Ocon and Alonso, double points finish, good stuff. Alonso didn't make it to Q3 in qualifying, but he also finished in the points as well. Shout out to Ocon, shout out to Alonso. That car over the weekend, I don't know what happened, but it has grown. It has got a lot closer to the McLarens and the Ferraris than we first saw in the first couple of races. Those are my top 3 drivers of the Portuguese Grand Prix. Let me know who you think I missed out on. Let me know your comments. Who did you think was the top 3 drivers of the Portuguese Grand Prix? Who should I put in there? Who did I leave out? Big up Max Verstappen as well. I've got to give him a shout out as well, because he looked kind of dangerous as well at the start of the race, but the Red Bull pace just wasn't really there. So shout out to the top 3 winners. As I said, Danny Ricciardo, vintage stuff from him. Lando Norris, keep doing what you are doing. And Sir Lewis Hamilton, need I say more? Comment below, like the video if you like the video. Watch out for the bottom, the worst 3 drivers of the Portuguese Grand Prix, and also watch out for the fun facts of the Portuguese Grand Prix. We're on to Barcelona next as well. So with that said, people, lights out.